everyone, and welcome to the annual State of the World Searcherdemic Summit. My name is Professor Michael P. Pitzel, and I'm Chancellor of United Graduate College and Seminary International. So glad to have you here today. These are my favorite times where we get to share the evidence and results of a new education philosophy that we've been practicing for years and years, but having evidence and results validates God ideas. And so today we're here to talk with some of our professors and some innovative minds who have been working like crazy over the past year and even before that. But this is an annual report of evidence and results. So what's been happening this past year with different people's innovative ideas? So we welcome you today. We're glad you're here. This is our first one. Well, this is actually our second annual report. We had one in April, and we're going to have one next weekend as well. And today we have some amazing people, and we're going to start off with professors and vice chancellors, Chris and Carol Green. And while you're here, hello, Vice Chancellor.
Hello. Good to be here.
I want to talk a little bit, and what is this Searcherdemics? I mean, if you're a first-time listener, this is a new word. What is this? When you look up the definition of academic in the dictionary, academics, it says of theory, no practical relevance. And I thought, for as long as I've been an educator, education needs to be practical. And we can see that the world is crying out for that right now. Students going to school, leaving school, having debt, and not able to find a job. We're seeing that not just now starting in the United States, but that's been in many places on the continent of Africa. That's something we've seen. So this has been my passion, is what kind of education system can bring practical, hands-on life skills. So Searcherdemics is really an individualized, customized education, and it really is for those innovative minds. It's for innovative minds to walk out their creations into existence. So it's not just talk, it's not just theory. It requires action.
Yes.
And it really is an individualized education plan for 7.8 billion people. Anyone who chooses to make the leap of faith, because that's what it is, you have to believe in your ideas in Searcherdemics. Because Searcherdemics is the education of you. Think about an education you've ever received. Have you ever received an education of yourself, of who you are? What are your gifts and talents? So Searcherdemics is really the education of you from the God capacity inside of you. It's an essential life skills education system that produces practical and relevant outcomes from individualized ideas. Searcherdemics also validates and it helps develop individual philosophies, content that comes from those philosophies, institutions. Today we have representing the Greens, for example, have started their own institution that practices Searcherdemics, and organizations for life education and application. And again, we validate God ideas, the idea that comes from God. We're an education institute that validates God ideas. And so today with Professors Green, we are excited to share some of their evidence and results. Like I said, they're an institution that have been practicing Searcherdemics. They're a couple, they are individuals who've been practicing Searcherdemics. I've worked with them personally for over a decade. They are vice chancellors. I have to read about them because there's so much to say. They are vice chancellors of at our college and seminary. They're the 2022 World Civility Global Educators of the Year. They are doctors of Searcherdemics, earned doctors of Searcherdemics because they've practiced this. They have evidence and results. They're authors. They're certified master life coaches. And they are the creators and founders of Step Forward Life Prospectus. That's their institute. Creators and founders of Fruitful Life Learning Community. And they're the creators and founders of Fruitful Life Network of Ministries Incorporated. That's just to name a few. So, Professors Chris and Carol, you want to come back on with us? And you can always stay up when I'm talking about Searcherdemics. Breathe Searcherdemics. If I'm not here, they get to take it and run with it because they know all about it. So tell us, with Searcherdemics, you've created a readiness program. You've created many things, but tell us a little bit about your Searcherdemic discipline, a little description of what it is that you've created.
Okay. First of all, we would like to give thanks to God for his grace and favor and protection and wisdom, his faithfulness to us, to be able to give this awesome report today. And we also want to acknowledge His Royal Highness, His Excellency, Dr. Clyde Rivers, Chief Chancellor of UGCSI, and to you, Chancellor Michael, for us to be able to do this. There really aren't enough words to express our appreciation and our thanks to you. Our gratitude for your leadership, and just for the times that you've just been there for prayer support for us, especially since this is our annual report. This past year has been really challenging for us. We've had a lot of battles and challenges, and so you've been with us through all of that. So we thank you so much. To express what Searcherdemics has been about for us, it was a godsend, because like so many people, you start off in life, you have dreams in your heart, but when you approach the education and academic systems of the world, you are forced to fit into their lanes, their paradigms. For instance, all I knew in high school and in college was that I wanted to be a writer and I wanted to be a producer. But they give you this set of courses and they say you have to major in this, you have to take these English courses, and you have to study the great writers in history in Europe and America and all of that. And I understand wanting to lay that foundation, but when you're trying to chart your own course, if you don't fit in those paradigms and in those lanes and write in this style and fit all of this, then you end up compromising and taking a path that's nowhere near what was in your heart. Well, Searcherdemics does the opposite. It says, let's start with what's the dream that's in your heart, and now let's build the curriculum or the tools and the exercises and the plan around what's in your heart, rather than forcing you to fit the
preset
instead of trying to fit something that's been preset and laid out, and a path that fits with what the world already has to offer. Searcherdemic says, no, let's start with the dream that's in you and let's work around that. And so it was a godsend for us.
Absolutely.
I mean, you've really just described when I say the education of you just really described what that is. Wow.
And that's what happened.
Okay. And then out of that, what came? What was your idea that you were passionate about, that you created when you had this freedom and a system to create?
Well, go ahead. Well, we think of all kinds of things that come in mind. We just wanted to help people.
Right.
That was it.
One of the things that we talked about in discovering Searcherdemics was the ability to be able to, like you said, to start with where a person is, to be able to bring structure to the ideas of another person that they have for their life, and to be able to add flesh to it.
And so there were many of you may remember that there was a time when there were television shows. One was called Extreme Home Makeover. They'd come in and they'd fix up people's homes and all of that. And so Carol and I would watch that show. But the desire that was in our hearts, that what they were doing in the natural for a building, it was in our heart to do that for people. To help them remake and rebuild the structures on the inside of their hearts and in their relationships. And Searcherdemics gave us the tools to do that, starting with becoming, it started with a meeting with His Royal Highness. At the time, we only knew him as Dr. Clyde Rivers, and he drew out what was in our hearts and said, well, it sounds like to me, you guys want to coach people. And we have and we have an institution that will teach you how to do that in the real world in real time. And we went. It took us almost a year to complete the first round of Searcherdemic training. And when we went into the world system in the real world with what we had been given, it worked. It really worked. We went into an unemployment center. We coached a group of people. We were brought in to coach a group of people who were looking for jobs. And
we were given a God idea.
Yeah, it was a God idea.
To just simply say to people, you were born to do more than just work, pay bills, and die. That encouragement to that group of people changed the way that they looked at their lives, at what they had to give, what they had to offer, and even how to approach
their
new
job
employers.
Yeah, their job. It affected the way they interviewed on their jobs. It gave them the confidence.
Yes.
And so after 9 months of doing that, the organization reported to us, the woman she oversaw this particular program, she said her numbers doubled in 9 months of people who started interviewing well and getting employment. Her numbers doubled in 9 months from just receiving the type of coaching that we were bringing. It wasn't general. I know many people, it wasn't just motivational speaking. We refer to our coaching, that's where you, as care coaching. And that's where you bring compassionate accountability with respect and empathy. That's care. Compassion, accountability, respect, and empathy. And when we brought that type of coaching into the community, we had results. It worked. And so for us, by the time we got to the point, I'll jump way ahead, and we started the Step Forward Institute. The Step Forward STEP is an acronym, STEP. You can tell we love acronyms. But it means success through experience and process. And our institute's name is our Searcherdemic discipline and philosophy. That's our main philosophy and discipline, that you are success in process. And so, and we define success and process as the lifelong manifestation and revelation and the uncovering of God's answers, God's solutions, God's wisdom, and His message that's being revealed through your life. That's a long definition, but here that success is God's answers, God's solutions for the world that are coming through your life. And so He allows us to go through a process to bring that out. And our institution helps people through their process to reveal God's success in their lives.
Wow. And I call you both the professors of process. And they don't just have that title because they created an acronym and they put together curriculum for this, and they actually have students going through their institute, but because they've lived it. And again, this is Searcherdemics, not academics. So this is not just theory.
No.
This came out of your life experience. Your curriculum, your philosophy, your content came out of your life experience.
It sure did. And it's been an amazing year for us. The new development and ideas that we discovered over this past year. I guess this is like giving our report. The past year has been awesome. We earned our doctorates in Searcherdemics, and that was so important to us because that degree meant that we had shown the ability to successfully implement our philosophy, to teach it, to duplicate it. And this is something that all doctors have to be able to do in the educational world. You have to be able to defend your philosophy. And so we were able to defend it in real world with real data, with real evidence. And so we were so very proud and pleased to receive that and being named Global Educators of the Year. This has been an awesome year for us.
Yes.
And in our Step Forward training, we expanded it to now we offer 36 courses altogether. We now have 6 cert certificate programs, with the flagship one being the Care Ready coaching certification. But we have 6 altogether. And we reached a milestone this past year of now we've certified 100 Care Ready coaches in 10 states across the United States.
Wow.
We published 4 books to coincide with our Step Forward courses. Quite a year. We were honored to be contributing authors along with 30 others, leaders around the world, to be part of an international best-selling book, the book Royalty That Values All, which is the autobiography of His Royal Highness Clyde Rivers. The book was written by Dr. Sam Ebube. And so it's such an honor to be a part of that this past year. And we were featured among 10 other leaders from around the world in the Productive Business magazine produced by Dr. Vernette Joseph. And we also this year, we released a Searcherdemic paper, our first Searcherdemic paper, and it was referred to as our Searcherdemic mobility paradigm. And finally, we were able to create 2 process of success assessments, which we were able to walk through with several of UGCSI's searcher professors. And those 2 assessments, one's called discerning the cycles or the 4 seasons in your process, and the other is called the elements of process assessment. So we were able to really be involved with professional development of other Searcherdemicians. And so it was just this has been an amazing year for us.
Yeah, and being named Global Educators of the Year, which is a Civility Icon Award. To get a Civility Icon Award, it's about contributing to humanity, right? It's about showing evidence and results. And this is from another organization, I Change Nations, that you received this award. And you didn't, and you received the Global Award because you're doing these things internationally. For example, you also are co-collaborators of a new Searcherdemic capacity coaching model being project and piloted on the continent of Africa right now.
Yes, and that's been amazing as well. So as part of the evidence and the results for this past year, that's what has been for us this year. We haven't been necessarily on the front lines, but our role has been more of being behind the scenes. We refer to ourselves as being the energy, the force, the invisible force and energy that's pushing God's dream for humanity through others. And we don't mind that role. We don't have to be out front and on the stage. We love working with other Searcherdemicians. We love working with those who will actually be making the frontline impact on the world, because as far as we're concerned, we're still impacting the world by impacting the people who are on the front lines.
Wow. It brings up another question about leadership. What makes a good leader? And you just brought up a key point about you might not be the face of it or the front on the front line, but a good leader leads from behind and releases, right? Releases. And I mean, because you're leaving your legacy right now at this point. So that also shows growth and development when you're not always the hands-on one. I mean, imagine what you're doing right now. You started just the 2 of you, correct?
Yes,
correct.
Just
now
the 2
tell
of us.
me about your team and how it's growing.
One of the things that has happened is this is family, very much family.
Okay.
Our one of our sons and his wives, our oldest son and his wife have come on board to expand our team. What better way to leave a legacy than to be able to start preparing your own family to take it on? And so our son, he actually went through the certification program. He's now launched into his own business and is already in preparation of becoming one of our Care Ready instructors.
Yes.
So not only will he do one-on-one coaching, he will begin to teach others how to be a care-ready coach. And our daughter we call her daughter in love. She is on board as our administrative and operations assistant. She has just totally expanded our world in marketing and promotions and how to put our message out there in 2022, in the 21st century, how to communicate with the next generation, how to put it in a language that they understand. A lot of our work has been with the 40 and 50 and older. Well, she is now helping us to reach the 40 and under. So, yeah.
Wow. That's powerful. You know, we have to bring in the next generations.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the most powerful things and that we can do in a learning institution to leave our legacy is to empower the next generation. And what a better way. That's incredible. Well, you two are always inspiring. What is a way, if somebody's listening to this and they're curious about your institute or what you do, or wow, I want to receive an education about me, how can they get a hold of you? Where can they look and where can they find you?
We made it very easy with our it's chrisandcarolgreen.com. How easy is that?
Hey,
chrisandcarolgreen.com. Or if you just want to do a Google search, you can actually Google Chris and Carol Green, and we will come up first. So, and you'll be able to learn all about the life coaching, the life education, and the life service.
Wow, I love it. And if you Google Searcherdemics, their names come up too.
Yes.
I mean, these people are experts at documentation too. So they are helping our institute. We teach professors. We work with United Graduate College and Seminary International works with professors and students, really right now specializing in developing searcher professors and searcherdemicians. And so Professors Chris and Carol Green are a huge part of helping in that development. And I appreciate you. I cannot say enough how excited I am because I've watched your process, and truly, you said something. You know, we don't give doctorate degrees for reading books and writing papers. Yes, you have to read books and write papers.
Yes.
We ask you to write your own books and books that have been searched, not researched.
Yes.
Where you're searching for that God idea, right? You might get some good ideas from other people, but we really want to hear your ideas. And that's why you're doctors of Searcherdemics, is because you really have the real world evidence. And that's the definition of Searcherdemics. And so in the flesh, right?
But it's been marvelous for us to be connected with United Graduate College and Seminary International.
Absolutely.
We would not have seen the fulfillment of the dream that's in our heart if it had not been for UGCSI and authoring and the book that you wrote, authorship education, and receiving and getting not only the confidence, but the support that was necessary to see the dreams come into reality.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for the annual report. You had a lot going on this year. Very exciting. And we're continuing to move forward. These two wonderful people will help me MC. We have another summit next weekend. They're going to help me MC and interview some more professors to see what other evidence and results Searcherdemics is producing. But we're not finished today yet. We still have much for you. Very exciting. To introduce to you another one of our vice chancellors at United Graduate College and Seminary. Is Professor Linda on?
Yeah.
Yay! Whoa, I'm so happy to see you. Thanks for pushing through. You look lovely. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, I'm good. I'm excited. I want to introduce you to the people. You just had another graduation. You also are the creator and founder of Future Elite Academy.
Right.
Yes. And
Yes.
you are the founder and creator of a new philosophy and a movement, Do You.
Yes.
Yes. You're the 2020 USA Woman of the Year, which is also a World Civility Icon Award. And when I think of you, you are changing the face and the influence of urban life skills education. And I always say, I didn't get to go to this year's graduation, but I've been to your past graduations, and I always say that Professor Linda Lara's graduations are my favorite because when you see the faces of those graduates, again, they're not just sitting in a classroom reading books and writing papers. Yes, they're doing that, but they're also going out and they're practicing their voice and they're hearing that God idea for them, and they're gaining that mindset that says my ideas are good enough. And man, when these students get up and give speeches at graduation, their life has been changed. And I know some of these students, and I've met them before they've gone through your programs, and they come out completely confident. It's just very exciting. I love your graduations, Professor.
Oh, thank you. I love them too.
Yes. So this is an annual report. I mean, you've been with us for several years. You're a Searcherdemician with United Graduate College and Seminary International. And your institute is an affiliate of our graduate college and seminary. So tell us a little bit about your philosophy. I mean, you've started Future Elite Academy, and then you came up with the Do You, but I'm going to let you, whatever you feel,
Okay.
share about your philosophy. What's the God idea in you that's come out?
Well, my philosophy, again, is a God idea, because everything that we get, we know is from Holy Spirit. He just needs the vessel, right? And the mouthpiece, and the person that's willing to go and break it open and break through for these areas. And so the Do You movement is started by really empowering women to validate themselves. You know, for so long we were looking for validation from somebody else, from everybody else to validate us. And so Do You is really about finding their gifts, their talents, their ability. You know, in the Bible, in Matthew 25, verses 14 to 13, it says God gave out talents, right? Some 10, some 5, some 1, right? According to their ability. And what happened was I discovered that for so long, we're trying to do things that we don't have the ability to do. And when you don't have the ability to do it, you get very discouraged. I say, I wanted to be an opera singer. I won't opera sing for you, but I guarantee
That's awesome.
I'm not an opera singer because I don't have the ability to do it.
Wow.
But what I do have the ability to do that God gave me, because it says He's the one that gave us the gifts and the talents, I can soar in that area. So the Do You movement is helping women find what their ability is, and then empowering them, training them, equipping them to do the ability that God has given them. And now they're confident. You see, if you're trying to do something that you don't have the ability to do, you're going to be very discouraged, right? You're going to feel like you don't measure up to other people. And the awesome thing about Do You is there's no competition, because nobody can do you but you. Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I'm helping them realize that all they have to do is be the best version of themselves, and then they can thrive, and they're soaring because they have the ability that nobody else has to do you.
Wow. And what has been the response? Because as you've
Oh
been
my
sharing
God.
this, what's been the response?
Oh, well, I bet. Well, I have quarterly meetings which are sold out. I can't even, they're free, but registration just, I have to stop the registration because as you see in our building, we can only hold so many, right? But I shove as many women as I can in there. You know, I get 150 registrations, and then I just have to close it out because you ain't not going to fit, right?
Yeah.
And so now the next level that I'm doing is I'm creating programs. I have an executive club. I have a VIP club, and of course the Future Lead Academy, where I'm helping them grow in different levels of themselves, so that
Oh,
they can begin to grow in them, right? I say, finally a program that's all about you, right? So many times we go to, like Dr. Greenwood says, we go to college and we have to learn about everybody else, right?
Right.
And everybody,
Right.
what everybody else is doing. Now I'm helping them to discover them, their ability, their gifts, their talents, right? Their greatness. And it
Yes.
changes the paradigm, because now they're excited to sit and hear that they're about them, learning about themselves, things that they never even thought were possible. We're seeing so many entrepreneurs now at the age of 30 coming because they're discovering their abilities, and they're
That's
not
right.
wasting time, right, trying to do other things, because that's just a waste of time. I would have
Mhm.
wasted my years trying to be an opera singer, and then finding out at my age, right? But when they're finding out their ability, God, and now they're being able to put that into practice, and now begin to soar in the ability and the gift that God's giving them. So it's just amazing. I go on. Wow, all this time I'm sitting here trying to do and be something I have no ability to do. And now I discovered who I really am, right? And now
Yeah.
I can soar. And
Oh, you've said so many huge things. And again, Professor Linda, what you're doing is an example of the education of you, and
yeah,
the evidence and results is pouring out. And I remember we had a forum about, the state of the world after the pandemic, for example. What is the world really needing? And you're answering a real world need, this idea of who am I? What I need it's really a mental health issue. We
yes.
talk about that. How does your do you address that issue?
Well, that's another thing. If you can believe, right? Because belief is in your mind, who you believe you are. So
Mm,
if you can actually believe and understand and trust in you. See, we trust in everybody else's opinion. We trust in everybody else's validation. But if
okay.
you can begin to trust in who you are,
Mm,
then you can have a mindset that says it doesn't matter what anybody else says. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It doesn't matter what anybody else believes. I know the truth of who I am. My true identity is in who God says I am.
mm.
And if we know in Psalms 139, it says, I am wonderfully and marvelously made. But it also says, I know this very well. So
Mm.
when you know this very well, that you are made and created in the image and likeness of God, and that you are wonderfully and marvelously made, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks or says,
And you're
right?
not just right. And you're not just saying this. You've had students come in without this mindset that you're speaking of, and have left with this mindset and gone into the world and have gotten jobs.
And not
Oh,
gotten
what
jobs.
else?
They're
Give
creating jobs, right?
they're
They're
creating jobs.
entrepreneurs. They're entrepreneurs. They're creating their own jobs according to their ability, because now their mindset knows who they are.
Yeah.
And I like to say, if the word of God tells us who we truly are, and he says that we should have life and life more abundantly.
Yes.
So why aren't you? Right? Why aren't you living the abundance of the life that God has promised you? And it's simply because you didn't believe you could. But now that you believe who God says you are, you believe that you can do what God says you can do, now you're going to take it to a whole new level, a whole new extreme of the truth of who you really are.
Wow. Man, this is your passion. This is your
Yes,
gift. You said you're a lifelong learner and you love to teach ever since you were a little girl. And
yes.
you know how to build understanding along with ability, and it shows in the people who come through your programs. And you too also have been growing your team. We call you a Searcherdemician because you're someone who you're not just an entrepreneur with your own idea and you're making it work on the earth, but you also know how to be a searcher for others and pull it out of them So we call you a
Yes.
searcherdemician. You practice searcherdemics by helping people learn the education of them.
Yes, and I love empowering myself, because the law of the lid says I can only take others as far as I myself have gone. And so if I don't have the ability to do something, I hire people to do it, because then I can share that knowledge and that wisdom with the people that I'm bringing up. So I believe I want to go as high as I can go. As high as I go is as high as I can bring people up. I love what John Maxwell says. He says, people say it's lonely at the top. What are you doing at the top alone? Right? Our goal, my goal is to take as many people to the top as possible, because they have a voice. They have understanding abilities that I don't have. And so I love learning, and I want to see how I can get my doctorate in searcherdemics. That I'm a
Keep
what?
going. You're on the way. Keep going.
Because I
love it.
I love. I always said I'm like the scarecrow on the Wizard of Oz. Every time I learn something, like I just got my brain, because I love it. I love learning. It's just so awesome. And I don't want to be irrelevant. Technology has just taken everything to a whole new level. It's constantly growing, and we have to grow with it so we can reach the younger generation and we can empower them, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
With what they're thinking. So it's constant and continuously growing in the wisdom and the knowledge and the understanding, not of God and of what God's doing at this time, this day, this age.
Yeah. If you could give one word of advice to a listener out there who is going, whoa, it's my ability. And I mean, what would it be? What would be an encouraging word or a relevant word for them today?
Do you. Do you.
You got it.
Do you. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Don't worry about what everybody else is, creating or establishing. Do you.
Wow.
Because when you do you have no competition, because nobody can do you but you. So you're free. You're free. It sets you free from having to compare, having to measure up, right? Having to be like. Doing you frees you from all those other hangups that people will not do because they can't do it like so and so. I can never talk like them. I can never act like them. You don't need to. Do you.
Wow.
100%. And believe me, you are going to find greatness in you, because the Bible says we're all created for greatness.
Wow. I love that. How can they get a hold of you or learn more about your Do You or even the Future Elite Academy?
Well, you can get me on, I'm even on TikTok. I even had to go on TikTok because
Yeah. New way.
that's where it's at. TikTok. I'm TikTok's for young people. TikTok is the number one platform right now to get your stuff out. So I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. Dr. Linda Lara. You can find me on any of those platforms. And I'm
and
there.
I love. Oh, yeah, you are. And the fact that you say that so good. I was with my teenage niece and she's like, Facebook is old.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, okay, what's the new? You got to listen to the younger generation if you want them to listen to you. Whoa.
Yes. Yeah.
You got to find them.
We have to stay relevant. We have to stay current.
Wow.
Yes. And I want to thank you very much, Chancellor, because you're always so empowering, so encouraging. And I love when you come. I'm so sorry that you missed this graduation, because you're right. It just, that's where I get my most signups for the school, is through my students speaking at the graduations, because their family and their friends come and they know where they were at, right? They're not making anything up.
Their whole life. Yeah.
They know them, and now they hear them. Oh my God. That's my greatest marketing tool, is their speeches and their how they overcome what they're doing. So I love graduation too. And thank you so much.
You're welcome. We love you. Keep up the good work. You're on the just keep doing you. You got this.
Okay.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh my goodness. I love my job. These are the people I get to work with every day, and they are all doing you. It's the education of you. And next we have another gentleman, Professor Vice Chancellor Mateus Mutola. He's from Mozambique, and I've known this gentleman. We first met in 2008 in Mozambique. I just found a picture the other day. Actually, our picture with the group is in the authorship education book. You're in that book, Professor Mutola.
Wow.
Back in 2008. Oh, this gentleman, I've worked with him again for over a decade. And the work that we do is not easy because it does require action. How to. And I remember when I first became the Chancellor of United Graduate College and Seminary International, one of our pillars, I said, we must make one of our pillars that if a student leaves our education system, they should know how to do it. And they should know how to be productive with the information that they receive. And if they cannot, then we should not be doing this education. It's not an education worthwhile. So this is hard work, getting to the point where Professor Mutola is today. He is also the 2020 World Civility Africa Educator of the Year. He's Vice Chancellor of Online Academics for our United Graduate College and Seminary International. He has his PhD in Christian leadership. He's the creator and CEO of MAMU. Is it MAMU or MAMU Coaching?
Mamu, that's Mamu.
MAMU Coaching.
Yes.
And he is a master life coach himself. He's the creator and founder of Genius Codebreaker, and he's a prolific author. This gentleman became the youngest professor in his country and is also the youngest vice chancellor in his country, and really one of the most prolific authors in his country. He's breaking some records there, and even in the world, I'd say he's one of the youngest vice chancellors in the world. And so I'd like to introduce Professor Mutola, and if you would say a little bit about Searcherdemics and how you came up with this idea of everyone is a genius.
Wow. Thank you, Professor Michael. It's really an honor to be part of this wonderful summit. And I want to first and foremost appreciate yourself and His Royal Highness for the mentorship that have been displaying upon my life, I think, for the past 12, 14 years. And through your mentorship, through this Searcherdemic, it's true that I've broken some records, not only in my family, but also in my country. Like you mentioned, to say, because of Searcherdemics, I happen to be the youngest professor ever in the history of my country. Mind you, Mozambique is a population of about 30 million people. And for you to wear the head of a professor, you have to be about 6 years and above. But I basically broke that record altogether. And that's really amazing. And again, just for you to be Vice Chancellor in Mozambique, you still need to be around that age, 60s and above, because somehow we believe that age equals wisdom. And that's then we keep on waiting for people to grow up somehow until they reach a certain age, and then maybe they can hold certain responsibilities. But Searcherdemicans have proven that totally to be contrary. We venture into wisdom. We extract that which is already within the people and help them bring it out into the world, share the ideas with the world. So we work more, our education is more practical, because we want you to bring out what is in you and then help you bring about results. We work with evidence and results. So our education is very practical on our daily basis. Now, I was taught that not everybody is a genius. A genius are special people. They are people that, for example, they have to have special characteristics or traits in order to be considered a geniuses. And it's interesting that when I began to pursue studying about the geniuses, I realized that they were people that were considered to be they were their special creative powers or natural abilities or maybe some extreme intelligence. So you had to have some special traits, like I said earlier on. For example, you had to have a special height, or special ability to speak in public. You had to have this like tall, like height, be tall and be light in complexion, or maybe sometimes you had to have about 1/5 IQ plus. Then you were considered a genius. But then these kind of thoughts brought about two limitations. Number one, you had to be maybe chosen by some gods, some quote unquote gods, to be a genius. But then on the other hand, it clearly made it clear that not everybody could be considered or regarded a genius. Now, this is where my philosophy comes in. My philosophy says that every human being is born a genius, regardless. And the question is, why do I say that? The answer is simple. There is what we call the law of creation. And then by the law of creation, every seed must produce after its own kind, right? So a mango seed will produce a mango. An avocado seed will give you an avocado, and so on and so forth. Then God, the creator God, being a genius himself, he had to create man to be a genius after himself. We know that man is created in the image and likeness of God. Now, being in the image of God, we understand that that means that humanity has an inherent ability as the creator. And then being in the likeness of God means to say that mankind can function like God on earth. In other words, God has instilled in man in his creative power and ability, so that by reason of creation, man is already a genius. He is born a genius. Now, in other words, being a genius has nothing to do with your scholastic or academic or even artistic abilities or performance, but then it's just the inherent ability of God within every human being. That's why, if you watch carefully, we realize that a great number of the world's top inventors were not A students, right? But they changed the world through the discovery and unveiling of the genius in them. In fact, to tell you the truth, most people with high IQs have hardly changed the world. So the genius in mankind is his divine nature, which has the ability to function like God. Now, the Bible says that God is a spirit. God is spirit. So if God is spirit and man is created after the image and likeness of God, then man is also a spirit being. Therefore, the genius in man is his spirit man. In other words, the spirit man in humanity is a partaker of the divine nature, which has the ability to function like God. So there is what I call the four gestas or powers of my discipline. Number one, you are born a genius, regardless. You were born a genius. Every human being is born a genius. Number two, you are a genius in your gift or area of gifting. I was told that genius people, for example, are those maybe they accomplish greater academic or scientific accomplishments, right? They were the ones just were the genius. But then my philosophy says that you are a genius in your area of gifting. In other words, if you are in sports, you are a genius in that area of gifting, in that activity. For example, Michael Jordan was a genius in basketball. Mike Tyson was a genius in boxing. Tiger Woods was a genius in golfing. So there are genius for sports. Others their gifts is in speaking, communication. They are great speakers. That's where their genius is. Other people are gifted in writing, right? So they are genius in writing. Others in business, leadership, and so on and so forth. So I don't have to say like, okay, because I'm not in sports, maybe I'm not into academia, then I'm left out. I'm not the gift. I'm not the genius. No, you are wired for something, and the genius is in your spirit, because the genius in you is manifested, yes, through your gift. Your gift reveals the genius in you.
Okay.
So maybe someone will ask us, then what is my gift? Your gift is that which comes natural to you, yes, with passion, and gives you peace and feels good. That's your gift. That's where your genius is, right? Then number three, once you understand my discipline, you will begin to comprehend that you are an original. And the key thing here is that originals do not compete, they manifest. Once you grasp the fact, I am a genius, you have to know that you are an original, and originals do not compete. The creator is original.
Wow.
So, and then he's not like a second best or a photocopy. He's original.
Wow.
And then he could only create originals to be originals. So our assignment on earth, if we understand this, is to be originals. That's why, once again, we don't have to compete. I don't have to envy you or nobody else. I just have to be me and be willing to manifest that which is already instilled in me. That's how I bring my contribution to humanity and to the world at large. Geniuses are an original breed. They comprehend and they grasp the truth that life is not a competition, but a manifestation. That's why I can celebrate your accomplishments with no jealous, no envy, nothing. I can really clap and say, wonderful, great, go for it. Like Professor Linda says, I can say, do it yourself.
Yes. I love it.
No room to envy, no room to say, why her? Why not me? Why this?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I can just celebrate because we are all contributing, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are sort of pieces of the same cake, slices of the same cake, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A slice by its own, you don't call it like bread, a loaf of bread or a cake. It's a slice, it's a piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's when all the pieces come together that the whole is made.
Wow. And each
So
piece
this
is its own unique
exactly
piece.
exactly that's right.
Wow. Well, you
See,
just had a few people shout out on StreamYard here saying, and I would call them your evidence and results. I want to say thank you to Orlando for chiming in, and he's excited for you today, Professor Mutola, and he says that he's one of your coachees since 2016, and that his life is changed. So you're seeing a real need for this kind of a mindset, this genius mindset in your country. And on the continent of Africa. You are the 2020 Africa Educator of the Year. What do you see as the need for this mindset on where you live and where you're teaching?
One of the great things I believe it's needful to understand here is that everyone, in addition to being a genius, everybody is born a solution. We need to understand that I was sent to earth because a particular problem. This is what I love to say. There is the reason why I wasn't born 100 years ago is because there was nothing relevant for me to do 100 years ago. There are problems in the world, but I was not built to contribute towards the solution of the problems back then. I had to wait. Like the Bible says, when Jesus came, it says like Jesus came at the fullness of time. He could have come long time ago.
Wow.
You see, but the world wasn't prepared. It was not the right time. With all the ideas, the anointing, the wisdom, the power that Jesus displayed, it was not yet time. He had to come at the fullness of time. And he came as a solution, right? And somehow the world was prepared to receive, to grasp, embrace the solution was bring into the world. So this is a one thing I pray a lot that my generation will understand. I am significant because I was born a solution. Wow. I am 100% complete I'm complete in my gift. Like I was saying, I am 100%, I'm complete in my gift. Now, watch this. My philosopher sees a genius as someone who has an unlimited ability to create a new paradigm shift in society.
Mm.
If there's one mindset I wish we could all grasp in my society, in my world, is that I am a solution and I was born with an unlimited ability to create. Watch this, to create, not to copy, right? Not to copy and paste, but to create a new paradigm shift in society.
Wow.
And it's like I was born with this unlimited ability.
Yes.
In other words, it's not acquired, it is discovered and developed.
Wow. And you are
Watch
proof
this.
of that. Go ahead. Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Because you trained me. I was trained by the best.
But you are definitely not a copy, and you are definitely an original.
You know, Professor, all through the ages, mankind has always sought for answers and solutions for his challenges and the worldly situations that contradict his own inward desires. We have desires, but then like the situation in the world seems to contradict our desires, the manifestations of our desires. Right now in my country, the cost of living is getting higher by every second, right? So it's like the system is very contradictory. But then what we need, I think the challenge we need to understand now is that the answers we need are within ourselves. Watch this. King Solomon said, counsel in the heart of men is like deep water, but a man of understanding will draw it out. This counsel makes any human being a genius. When it says heart, heart there stands for the spirit of man, and it is through the spirit of man that God releases his creative power and ability that will make you be considered a genius solutionist.
Yeah.
What's this? A genius solutionist. In other words, when he even says that the spirit man has counsel, which refers to supernatural information of the highest order that pertains to life. When discovered and unleashed, this information makes you once again a genius solutionist. Wow. You become the man in your world, in your generation. You become the go-to man.
Wow.
And all this information, Professor, is already within ourselves, in our spirit man. In other words, right now as we speak, the world is currently inundated or flooded with almost 8 billion geniuses who in reality constitute about 8 billion answers to the present challenges in the world right now as we speak.
And our job is to just shine a light on it and say, you're a solution, go, go, go.
That's
wow.
right. That's right. That's
so
right.
What have
that's
you been
right.
doing? What have you been doing with this for this past year? Because you've been doing this for a long time, but in this past year, what have you been working on? How have you been growing this? What has been your evidence and results?
My greatest passion is to find and look for avenues to diffuse more of this my genius discipline or concept, to help more people awaken and become aware of the genius in them, that they were born as a solution because the creator has instilled in them the answer to every problem they'll ever encounter in this world. Yes. You know what? The other day I was just thinking about our ancestors, like in the past, like in Africa as a whole, before colonialism, before slavery and all that. Do you say? And it was mind blowing for me to realize that our ancestors in Africa, basically and literally, they had answers for almost every problem they encountered before they were colonized. And history tells us something interesting. Somehow they were in touch with the realm of the spirit. Because let me say in the house or in the community, there was this somebody who was sick, for example, and they didn't know how to help the person. They could try on all means that they had before, we had the pills and all that, and they could not find the answers. You know that someone could have a dream, literally dreaming of the possible solution.
Yes.
The next day, she would say, you know what, I had a dream. We can go, let me say, to avocado tree and pluck up the 1, 2, 3 leaves and put in a pot in the oven, in the stove, or boil. Just pour 2 or 3 cups of water and boil. Let the water boil, right? And then let it cool and pour and drink and have a sip. And as I keep on sipping, eventually the disease will go. We used to have dreams and visions.
Yes.
Because the realm of the spirit was always communicating to us through our spirit man. So that has been natural to us in Africa in the past before foreign invasion.
Okay.
So somehow we have to go back to the basics because the Bible says no temptation will come unto us above and beyond our ability to deal with it. I'm just paraphrasing. So it's like somehow when a challenge wants to heat up in your life, the creator analyzes it. Does this man has the capability, the built-in capability to deal with it? If the answer is yes, he will let it somehow come to me.
Yes. You're writing this down in your books. That's just part of the content. You've been building this content in your writing, and you're also you're an excellent interviewer. You have your own, is it TV stations or networks that you're or channels that you're interviewing people and you're getting out your content?
Yes. One thing that I've done, I've decided to become a YouTuber. Actually, that's what I'm doing now, full force, full blast. I release weekly profound and powerful content. I just want to diffuse, want the world to understand, guys, we are the solution in our world. We don't have the solution. We are the solution in our world. But I began to do, and also I'm pioneering. I'm also pioneering the Dr. Mamu show, right? As a way to reinforce the diffusion of my philosophy. And this is powerful because I've been coaching professionals and entrepreneurs. I'm talking about top of the notch lawyers, jurists, bankers, dental clinic owners, medical doctors, national marketing directors, and the list goes on. And this helped me to zero into my audience, professionals and entrepreneurs. Why? Because these people are greatly influential in my country. They have a voice. And if they can grasp this concept, they can also diffuse into their world and get reach more and more people, right? And this is powerful. Just to give you an example, like you said, that Orlando is online. He was, I think, still in.
Yes.
This young man, I trained him powerfully. And he began to travel the world.
Wow.
And now he started his own company. It's helping. I mean, it's just amazing, right? What's happening?
Yeah.
In December last year, this young man, there's a lady, she started her own organization, NGO, actually. I trained her through the genius. I woke to her genius, the genius in her, and she started to start her own NGO. She told me when we were training, she said, you know what, I have a passion to work with women, to help women learn to love themselves, appreciate themselves, validate themselves, and begin to take full responsibility for themselves. Because in Africa, it's like women are shuttered a lot by the system, by culture, by tradition. There's a lot going on in their lives negatively, just to demean them. And she said, I want to help them. I want to help them. And I said to her, what do you want to do? She says, I want to pioneer an NGO that will empower women. And guess what? Last year, December, her name is Aisa Makario. Last year, December, she literally inaugurated her NGO called Walisima. Walisima is our mother tongue for beautiful woman, beautiful girl child. And,
wow.
Yes, and this is, it's powerful what she's doing, because her organization works with women and children victims of pedophilia.
Oh,
And it is basically aimed at promoting educational activities on women's self-worth, acceptance, and protection, and encourages the fight against child prostitution,
wow.
sexual harassment, child marriage, and all types of rape against women. Last night I was talking to her and she gave me wonderful news. Her organization has been picked to participate in a global forum, on women's issues on a global forum. In a month from now, she will just be there to represent her organization. It is powerful.
I would love to talk. I would love to talk with her.
Oh, wonderful! I'll let her know.
Us must talk. Wow.
I'll let her know. It's really powerful. And let me just round up with another interesting story. There is this other young man. His name is called Mario. We met, and why is this story interesting? Because when we met, we start talking about the genius and gifts and talents, etc. He realized that he was in the wrong place of work or professional activity. Guess what was he doing? He was a sniper. Can you imagine that?
Okay.
He was in the military. And he was so good that his commander-in-chief asked him to work personally and directly with him.
Wow.
And so he began to assist his commander-in-chief. And then when he began to awaken to the genius in himself and to his passion, etc., he told me, you know what, I'm doing this. I'm thankful for this. But my passion is in the arts.
Okay.
And he says, I'm going to switch. Then just think about this. This is what happened. He confided into one of his colleagues over there in the army. And he was told that you can't abandon, you can't just quit, you can't just leave this, you can't be discharged. It doesn't happen like that. And it has never happened before. We have to stay here, especially because we're working closer with the commander-in-chief. It doesn't work, it won't work. But he decided to take his own chances. He wrote a letter and asked to be discharged. And guess what? Cut the long story short, he was discharged. But then here's the beautiful thing. Just this past June, I think the month before, I think on the 11th, I had the privilege to be invited by this young man to cut off the ribbon of the inauguration of his own center. It is called Art and Motivation Center.
And this was his
own vision
idea.
has come to pass.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And you see, Professor, this is amazing. His Art and Motivation Center seeks to promote human significance through the arts and philanthropic actions. Wow. And there's so many pictures he sent to me. Maybe we'll see. I'll send them to you later. But that's what they're doing. He's just bringing about, promoting human significance. They go to schools, they go to companies, they go to organizations, go to the streets, just through sketchy, through drama, through poets and music and all that. They are speaking to the world. They're influencing a lot.
We need to talk, because this is profound what you're telling me. We talk often, but to hear your evidence and results of this is something that, we need to talk, because we need to bring these people into the fold.
Yeah, sure. That'll be lovely. That'll be great.
Hello. I want to introduce His Royal Highness Sir Clyde Rivers. Thank you for taking the time. I know you are a busy person, so the fact that you're here right now is a big deal. So I asked them to put you on right away as soon as you came. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, man. It's been super. Mateus, great to see you. Professor Dr. Mateus, great, man. I've been listening to your stories for the last 20 minutes. And this is phenomenal work. If you don't mind me interjecting something, the actual I met a couple days ago with a gentleman that graduated from Harvard Business School. So we're having a conversation, and we're talking about formal education and innovative education. And I explained to him what we're doing, and this guy said, "Well, are you saying that formal education is no good?" I said, "No. I said it's a great thing. Now, the issue with it in the West is it takes 4 to 5 years to get a job after. So well, that's kind of problematic, because if you graduate in something and the competencies for you to use it take 5 years to get into the profession, I said it's not working, because in 5 years their information is now obsolete. And then I spoke to him about Google, Netflix, and like Tesla that no longer require a degree. They require innovation. They said, give us people that can think. And as I said, and listen, Dr. Mateus, and like Chancellor Michael, you're the first fruit of a whole new world of education change.
Yeah.
Man, you cannot minimize what you've built and what you've done. And let me tell you, wear every title proudly and actually shove it right down the face of the institution, because as they fail, watch this here, as pioneers, you can't be afraid to actually show up the system. Show that thing up and show your evidence and results, and let them know that they're not working. And see, as a pioneer, it takes a different skin. And see, the both of you, Chancellor, you built this. Mateus, you built this for actual years. Never ease your way in. Bring your evidence and results front and center, and have the most confidence in any room you walk in, because if people can't produce what you've done, they need to listen to what you do. I'm giving you a new mindset. Let me tell you, when you get to the top, that's when you bring change. Look, it takes a minute to walk in the front door. It takes a minute to, I tell people, you got to hug babies and shake hands. Do that. But once you get beyond that point, you tell them, this is what it is. And Dr. Mateus, you have evidence and results of this. And you are one of the best in the world. And never, ever let anybody minimize you down to what they think about what you do. You're a pioneer. You're not an ex-settler. You built your own philosophy. And this is why we're so proud to have you as a Searcherdemic educator. And this education model will go all over the world because it's God-inspired, God-driven, puts people in their passion, and it doesn't run out of gas when the competencies change.
Wow.
Wow,
Thank you, Your Royal Highness. Wow.
Man, you guys know, I'm telling you.
There's so much here.
See what we have to do, put this stuff out, Dr. Mateus, publish it, and get it out, because sometimes what you don't understand is like a lot of books that I've done in the past are relevant now. They're becoming relevant now. So nothing you're doing is in vain. Everything you're doing is actually purposeful. And I don't care if anybody in your country believes they don't have the evidence and results you have. And eventually, in a crisis, guess where they run? To the one that can scratch the itch. And you're scratching the itch in your country, and not just your country, for the whole world. You are one of the first Searcherdemic educators that Dr. Michael is going to do that service for you in a minute. You're one of the first in the world, and this will be archived in the history of the world. This God model cannot be defeated, cannot be stopped, won't be stopped, cannot be stopped, because we got the right people on the job.
Yes.
That's right. And we will hear more from Professor Mateus, because I know he has more to share. And I want to thank everyone who's been on the whole time, or if you've just joined us. I can't say save the best for last. It's all been the best, but there's more. It just keeps getting better and better. If anybody, if Dr. Linder or Professor Green, if you're still on, if you want to pop on real quick so we can just say thank you.
And man, Lara, Dr. Linda Lara, I was up there again. Let me tell you, people, man, you talk about education that matters. You talk about education that matters. We have Dr. Linda Lara that is not just moving people. She is taking people from ground zero to ground hero. Then there's Chris and Carol Green. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, I would put this team of people up against anyone in the world because watch this here. The information that you get in some institution, the actual shelf life is short. You're building lives. You are building foundations. And here it is, the people expand and grow, and they grow because God's education is never supposed to end. It doesn't have a 12-year shelf life. It doesn't have 4 years for bachelor's in this. God's education grows after you finish and sign that last thing. I'm telling you, I'm a Searcherdemic. I'm a believer. I'm a follower. You put this team here. Let's go to Stanford. Let's go to Harvard. No. I take that back. Let them come to UGCSI.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I have
You're
to
the
say,
best.
Your Royal Highness, when I was thinking about you possibly popping in today, you really are the #1 evidence and results of this model, because you've practiced this model since the day I met you. And since you've met every single one of us, you've pushed this philosophy. And then you push the philosophy, and then you let us go to build it. And we wouldn't be here today if you hadn't have, first of all, led the philosophy, but then let us go to build it ourselves.
Wow.
We wouldn't be in this place today. So thank you for being a true leader of an idea and then trusting us to go do it ourselves.
Man, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And all I can tell you, you have no idea what I'm fighting now. But watch this here. I will kick the door down and you will come right behind you. You're going to see in a little while. I am right now, I'm standing and I'm fighting some stuff, and I'm not bending. Let me tell you something.
Right behind you.
When you get to the top, you have to learn to be rigid to bring your change. Flexible to get there. When you know what you're doing, bow your back and stand strong and make everybody conform to it. You hear what I'm saying? I'm giving you leadership 101. It's a fight to get in, but when you know your thing, bow your back and become rigid. No, we're not bending 1 inch. Searcherdemics is the way. Well, can we alter it? No, we're not altering anything. We're taking this just the way it is. We're building it just the way it is because our results. So watch this. Really brief. When you're a pioneer, you have to expect conflict. When you're a pioneer, you have to expect institutions fighting you back. But don't worry, just keep getting the evidence and results and push it down their throat because they don't have the evidence. And watch this here, and push it down their throat because this is not a cat and mousey Christian game. This is one where you're dealing with hard institutions that need to hear hard truth. And when you get to the top, bow your back and stand and never bend and make sure everything changes to what you want them to be. And do not bend, do not compromise, never compromise what you can't live without. Never compromise what you can't live without. When you negotiate, make sure it's a win for you. So I'm telling you, I'm proud. I'm out there on the front line fighting for this institution, and your leader will not bow his back, okay? We will stand rigid, and we'll make everybody conform to us. Do you agree with amen?
Amen.
Amen.
Wow. Well, listeners, if you're out there, I know you're excited now, and we're not finished yet. We have one more very important event, and that is we're going to do a conferment of a Doctor of Searcherdemic degree on Professor Mateus Mutola today live. So please stay tuned for that. I also want to invite you back next Saturday, same time, for another State of the World Searcherdemic address. We have professors from Trinidad, Tobago, from South Africa, and from Nigeria joining us next weekend. So please join us again for some more evidence and results of how this is changing the world. And thank you for being here. And please stay tuned, because right now we're going to have a graduation ceremony for Professor Mateus Mutola. And we are going to, Your Royal Highness, do you mind helping us out if we turn off our cameras to go put our cap on?
Yes. I had to stop my day for this one here.
Yes.
Go ahead. Yeah. I'll just talk for a bit. I'll talk for a bit if you don't mind.
Okay, thanks.
One of the things that is so important is Never sell your idea. Your ideas are valuable. They're priceless. And what happens when you learn who you are as a Searcherdemician, as you learn who you are, the information for the world comes from you. When you have a specific narrative, a specific niche, and you have created it, and you have bought it from the God idea. You see, oftentimes the battle is this: people don't validate the God idea. The God idea is not valid unless it's researched. Well, if the idea wasn't valid, there's nothing to research. So people have found a gap and they're researching. So I want all of our searchers to go find new ideas. Innovation runs the world. Tomorrow morning, I'll be on a presentation coming from England, and one of the questions that they asked me, who's going to fix the actual crisis? Really simple: innovators. Innovators will solve the problem. Innovators will move the world forward into another state. And this is why the work we're doing now is so priceless and it's so purposeful. And I encourage every one of you, when you get an idea, know how to drive the idea, know how to work the idea, and fight for the idea. And don't give up on the idea. You have to stand strong. It takes a while for it to get in, but when you get in and you know you're number one, never bow your back. Chris Green, why don't you hop in here with me if you're still on? Because Chris, you're just legendary in what you've done. You are the Searcherdemic Hall of Fame. If there's a Hall of Famer of this, it's Chris Green and Carol Green. What are your thoughts, Chris?
Thank you, sir. We are living in what you're talking about right now, that once you get in, that you bow your back. I can't say that we're facing the opposition at the level that you are, but in the fields that we found ourselves moving into, yeah, you do have to exercise that flexibility. Of course, you're learning about the field that you may find yourself entering into or working with. But once you get that evidence, once there is proof, then you have to, because if you back up and compromise, it says to that institution that they were right all along.
Wow. Come on, Dr. Green.
And so you have to, you take the stand. And I believe that the flexibility that you would operate in, if that you would have, that would just be in finding maybe more effective ways or creative ways to still stay on your message.
Oh,
because
Chris Green, I'm man, just keep talking. I like hearing you talk.
Because one of the things that we have learned is that sometimes the opposition is coming from a place of fear. They are afraid. People, there are ideas that they've had for a long time. Sometimes the opposition is coming from ignorance. And then other times the opposition is coming because of one thing my wife and I were talking about not long ago, was how we all know, familiar with the biblical story of Cain and Abel. Think about this. Two men responding to God. God gives a command of worship, a specific way to do it. Abel does it the way God tells him to. Cain does not. Cain comes out of the presence of God and goes and kills his brother.
Wow.
One of the things that we learned in that narrative is that there are people who, when they just simply look at the success, when they observe and see success, what would I mean by success? Cain observed God approving Abel's response. The Lord spoke to us and said, never underestimate the response of Cain. When there are people who are upset at your success, don't take that as just, I guess I'm saying this to back up what you said about you've got to bow your back. Don't take that as just, these people don't like me, or this isn't envy. No, when God's success or God's approval comes into the earth, is released in the earth upon an individual, there is a response that can be murderous. So and I'm not saying they're trying to kill you, but they're trying to kill that idea.
Yeah.
And so I can see why you're taking, as you're saying this to us, don't underestimate that response. That's why we have to, once there's been a manifestation of God's approval, there's evidence, it's there, then we must bow our back. Just, I'm standing in what God has given me. Paul told Timothy, he said, you've been with me through all the things you followed closely my manner of life, my teaching, my instruction. There's even been some things that you've been through with me. So he said, continue in the things you've learned, knowing from whom you learned them. And so don't back off of the evidence, is what Paul was telling Timothy. You have evidence. Don't back off of this, because you know from whom there were some things that you learned by actual practical evidence being revealed. As Professor Mutola was speaking today, and my wife and I were in the background just cheering him on, because that genius code will change the absolute entire planet. Imagine genius code being released in education systems around the world at pre-kindergarten levels. Imagine telling 2 and 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds that you are already a genius. Imagine getting away from the assessment tests that are simply measuring maybe someone's scholastic ability or their cognitive ability at a certain age. When you try to assess children and set the course of their life based upon how they scored on a test, but it doesn't take into consideration what's going on in their home, in their life. So they may not score very well at 6 or 7 years old. And so that doesn't take into account. So you'll set this kid on a path that's nowhere near what's in their spirit.
Oh my goodness.
The spirit of that kid. And so that's another part of the reason why the formal educations, the formal assessment systems, the formal ways of matriculating individuals in this life to whatever's going to be their measure of success or their part in this journey, when we relegate it and just reduce it to tests and examinations, then we miss out on the genius that they had. You probably remember a conversation that you and I had. We were talking about the fact that you are a success in process. Remember that? And we talked about how that the word success means that somebody has achieved their desired outcome. And so when we say that you are a success, that you are already born a success, just like Professor Mutola talked about, you are born a genius. We're talking about that God had a desired outcome and he brought it into reality. So God is successful. He got it here. You were born. God's expected outcome happened. Then the next thing that God desires is a relationship with everybody, a personal relationship. And then the third one is God desires for each human being to fulfill their part in his dream for all of humanity.
Chris Green, we're going to have another conversation about this.
I know, but isn't that
powerful? Ready to come back, man?
I know, but I just said that to say that that's why we are so on board with the leadership that you have provided, because you are helping us to fulfill what God wants released in humanity.
Man, Dr. Green, Professor, Vice Chancellor, I'm blessed to know you, man. Wow. Man, I think that everyone's ready for the graduation. Perfect.
And thank you, Professor Green, for those opening statements of this graduation. That was a perfect introduction.
He's amazing. Professor Green is amazing. That's all I can say.
To Professor Mutola and all that he has accomplished. And so if we can bring Professor Mutola also, if he's ready. If not, I'm gonna keep talking here. Professor Mutola has created the philosophy. He's written the content. He's walked the content out on the earth. He has evidence and results. He's documented. The book, You Are Born a Genius, is his dissertation, which he's defended. And I wanted to say, Chief Chancellor, Your Royal Highness, Sir Clyde Rivers, that Mateus Joel Mutola has met the requirements for a Doctor of Searcherdemics.
Phenomenal. My goodness. This is, if you don't mind, this is heroic.
Mm-hmm.
This is historical and heroic.
Mm-hmm.
First fruit pioneers with that professors Chris and Carol Green. Mm-hmm. And man, this is epic, Chancellor. Great work.
Yes. I will read the degree, but I want to wait until Professor Mutola is ready, and it appears that he's not quite ready yet. So I just want to say that Professor Mutola, as I said, he's been working on this concept, and he has worked with us through his bachelor's, his master's, and this will be his second PhD that he's been working on for many years. And this young man, like I said, part of the standards, the academic standards of United Graduate College and Seminary, number one is that it's biblically based. And number two is that it is rigor. It's rigorous enough for the degree. And we're not just talking needless rigor. It has to be practical rigor, which is our third standard, is practicality. If our students have not done the work, and when I say do the work, I don't mean reading and writing. I mean they've actually gone out into the world, they've worked with humans and people, and they've tested what they've done in the real world in real time, and they have documented evidence and results. And these summits that you just experienced, the one we're having next weekend, are one way of documenting the evidence and results of Searcherdemics. And so that is why he was invited today, is because he has evidence and results. And that is why we are also honoring him with a Doctor of Searcherdemics. Hello, Professor.
Hello, Doctor.
Congratulations. I'm going to go ahead and confer the degree. And then if you want to say a few words after, you are most welcome. United Graduate College and Seminary International hereby confers upon Mateus Joel Mutola the degree of Doctor of Searcherdemics, a recognized non-governmental ministry degree, together with all rights, privileges, and honors appertaining hereto, and in consideration of excellence and governance of the College of Christian Education Department, a fully accredited member of the Worldwide Accreditation Commission of Christian Educational Institutions, USA. The testimony in hereof and the signature as authorized by the Board of Directors are hereunto affixed, this 13th day of August in the year of 2022. Congratulations, Professor Dr. Mateus Mutola.
Wow.
Congratulations, sir. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, surely. First and foremost, express my sincere gratitude and appreciation to the United Graduate College and Seminary International. My special thank you and a shout to my mentor, Sir Clyde Rivers, and also my mentor, Professor Michael. I want to appreciate you so much for the time you spent investing in my life, helping me awaken to the genius in me. I never forget one of the first calls I had with Professor, His Royal Highness Sir Rivers. He said to me, I have nothing to add into you or into your life, but I'm going to help you extract that which already is within you and take it to the world. And that has been interesting because it helped me awaken to the deposit that God has already put in me. And then from there, I understood that I have to take that which is in me and take to the world. I learned to embrace that which already is in me. I learned to validate. I learned to validate my thoughts, my ideas. I've learned, most importantly, to believe in myself, and then take the thoughts and the ideas that I have, jot them down, run with them, and share them with the world. And this is a legacy that this school has deposited in me. And it's my personal ambition, desire to do the very same thing with other people, help them awaken to the genius in them, so that they can maximize their potential. And the process of maximizing their potential and awakening to the genius in them, they may as well enjoy a life of impact. They may establish an indelible mark, and eventually they may be able to leave a legacy that will benefit future generations. This confirming today is just an empowerment and encouragement for that which I have already been doing and I intend to keep doing forevermore. Thank you so much once again. I appreciate so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you. And congratulations, sir. You need to go celebrate with your family. And I want to thank everyone who has watched today. Be encouraged that you are a genius and that there are people out there who believe in you, and we're building a platform for you. So thank you, Professor Mutola. Thank you, Professor Linda Lara. Thank you, Professors Green, for hosting today, and Your Royal Highness, thank you for blessing us with your presence. And until next weekend, let's keep changing the world. God bless you all. Thank you so much.